Welcome back, Endgame community. As always, I'm Pierre and he's Chris. We're going to talk about the players we think are going to go off and help you get that victory this week. Let's start with your first boom.
Guess who's back? Dameon Pierce is back. That's right. Mr. Camp Hype himself, who got nothing in week 1. Rex Burkhead got all the work. Then Lovie Smith said going into week 2, yeah, we need to get Dameon Pierce going. And we all thought, okay, that's coach speak. But you know what? It wasn't coach speak. Dameon Pierce dominated this backfield. Not only did he dominate this backfield, he got every carry. 15 carries to Rex Burkhead's 0. Now, granted, Burkhead did get 3 targets and Pierce only got 1. Would be nice to see those flip-flop. But maybe this is the week it happens because he has a dream matchup against the Chicago Bears. We just saw Aaron Jones and even A.J. Dillon a little bit run wild all over this defense. This defense cannot tackle. Not a great defense by any stretch. You got to think the Texans are going to lean on Dameon Pierce, and this could actually be a game where the Texans are winning and can actually run the ball and commit to Dameon Pierce. I think Dameon Pierce is going to finally, after 2 weeks of being a disappointment compared to what he was, his hype in camp at least, he's going to finally pay off, have a huge game here in week 3. If you've got Dameon Pierce, get him in your lineups.
Well, that would make a lot of people who drafted Dameon Pierce very early very happy. So we'll see if that happens. Definitely a good chance. All right, so you mentioned that Bears-Packers game. You know who else gave up a lot of yards on the ground? The Packers did. Even though they rolled and won that game, look, they gave up 122 rushing yards just to David Montgomery and 180 overall. I mean, this wasn't a game where they were up in the second half and game script should have worked against the running offense of the Bears and they couldn't pass the ball. So, you know what? That Packers offense is susceptible to the run. I'm starting Leonard Fournette everywhere I can. He's kind of a borderline must start anyways. But you know what? You probably were let down by him last week because he only got 65 yards, didn't score, right? So a down week. Now there's concerns in Tampa. Mike Evans is out. Chris Godwin is out. That whole offense just not clicking this year. I think this is a get-right game for Fournette, and he is going to carry the Bucs because, look, they're going to need him. And I think that he can definitely get the job done. We know he's still the guy there. Rachaad White has not really been involved, getting a couple of passes, thrown his way here and there, but it's all Fournette on the ground, and he's still catching passes too. So I think this is a game where Fournette smashes. I think he might be a top 5 running back this coming week. All right, let's keep going. Who's another boom pick you got?
I've got a running back. I did not think I would ever call this running back a boom this year, but here we are. James Robinson ready to boom in week 3. Gets a great matchup against the Chargers. And yes, on paper, this Chargers defense is awesome, but they still struggle against the run. Even look at that game last week against the Chiefs. Mahomes was good, but he wasn't vintage, incredible Mahomes, 250-ish yards, 2 touchdowns, nothing out of this world. Who had the good game? Clyde Edwards-Helaire ripping off big runs. Every time he touched the ball, it seemed like he was getting 7, 8 yards. Right now, this Chargers defense through 2 weeks is allowing 6 yards per carry. And what did we see from this Jaguars offense in week 1? James Robinson looked pretty good, got a little bit more of the work. Then what did we see in week 2? He got a lot more of the work. 23 carries last week. If he's going to get that kind of usage against this run defense, he has a great chance not only to score a touchdown, but to put up big numbers on the ground, big yardage numbers. So I think James Robinson, if you got him in this matchup, you have to start him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great story. James Robinson coming back and looking like he did before his injury. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's almost a must start just regardless going forward. All right, so a lot of people thought Kyle Pitts would be a no-brain must start elite tight end. Well, so far you've been treated to 2 catches for 19 yards. And he doubled down by catching 2 passes for 19 yards again. Of course, no touchdowns. So now people are worried that Kyle Pitts is going to be the biggest bust of the year. I'm not going there. And you know what? Last week, I kind of went with that squeaky wheel narrative with Allen Robinson. Kind of a get-right game for him. It wasn't a monster performance, but sure enough, he scored a touchdown. He got you some yardage, and they went to him, all right? I feel this is the week that happens for Kyle Pitts because they're hearing it, right? They know everyone's saying, Arthur Smith, what are you doing? Why aren't you throwing to your best player on the field, Kyle Pitts? Why is he blocking? Okay, they're going to go to him. But also, here's the thing. You got to realize Atlanta, the first 2 weeks, go against elite defenses. They played the Rams and they played the Saints, okay? This is not an easy task for an offense, and they actually came away with some points, right? So now that defenses can focus a little bit more on Drake London because he looks legit, I think they're going to go to Kyle Pitts more. He's going to have plenty of opportunity against this Seattle defense that has been terrible against tight ends. And here's the thing, these numbers can be skewed after 2 games, right? Because you go against a guy like Mark Andrews, go against a guy like Kelsey, that makes it look really bad. This is the opposite. Seattle has had the easiest schedule as far as opposing tight ends, and they've done one of the worst defensively. They gave up 85 yards to the combination of Andrew Beck and Albert O in week 1, and they gave up a 38-yard touchdown to Ross Dwelley last week. They're giving up chunk yardage to backup tight ends. I think Kyle Pitts has a great chance to boom this week, so of course you have to start him, but I would start him with great confidence this week. All right, let's give one more boom pick each. Go ahead and tell me who you think is going to go off.
Yeah, another guy who's been a real letdown so far this year is quarterback Joe Burrow. Not looking like the guy who led this team to the Super Bowl last year. Maybe that's because he had that surgery in the offseason and barely had any preseason, barely had any camp. Maybe it's just a Super Bowl hangover. I don't know, but I don't care because he's in the perfect get-right spot this week against the Jets. Even Jacoby Brissett, who is barely asked to throw the football, just completed 22 of 27 passes. That's only 5 incompletions for 230 yards and a touchdown. That's Jacoby Brissett on a team who just runs the ball relentlessly. Joe Burrow is going to feast on this defense. This is an absolute get-right spot for Joe Burrow. If you still have Joe Burrow and you're ready to panic and give up on him, I'm telling you, wait, give it one more week. If he can't get it done against the Jets, then sure, we're all going to start panicking. But it's the Jets. It's a get-right spot. You have to start Joe Burrow again here in week 3.
Yeah, you have to start him against the Jets. And look, he's been bad. I think the Super Bowl hangover is real, but the Cowboys have a pretty good defense, so I'm not too worried yet about Burrow. He's got to go off this week, right? All right, now here's a defense that's terrible, Baltimore. We know this, and yes, the Dolphins just tore them up. A lot of this because of injuries, right? Their top 2 corners, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, injured, and we don't know what the situation is just yet for week 3. They're banged up, but you know what? That secondary was bad all last year, even when they were healthy. This defense is still going to give up a ton of yards, and I think that even holds true against the Patriots. So I'm going with Jacoby Myers as a boom pick. He sort of boomed last week. He had 9 catches for 95 yards. The only thing he doesn't do is get in the end zone. That's kind of been a problem. I think he can do it against this Baltimore defense. Look, this is a game where, honestly, you don't expect a lot of points because Baltimore, yeah, they did score quite a bit last week, but Patriots have a good defense. Patriots don't have great offense. They kind of get into these slugfests. But I think Baltimore has enough firepower on offense to score, and they're bad enough on defense to let the Patriots score. And we did see some signs of life. Nelson Aguilar had a big game, of course, Myers. So I'm going to say I think Myers is a really, really solid play in PPR. I think maybe he reaches the end zone. This could be an even better week for him. So lock Jacoby Myers in your lineup. All right, those are the players we think are going to boom. What about the busts? And who should you be starting at each position? We've got you covered. Just check out our playlist for week 3 with all the advice you need to win in fantasy.